So invent your own words in another language. This is a tip that I use to get vocabulary really quickly because you can basically fill in the blanks and then go back in and replace words as you realize that you kind of learned them wrong as you need to. So it's kind of a two-step process. One is like I make a clone of the language I'm currently learning, or of my present language, like English, and basically call it Spanish in my brain, right? And so when you're speaking Spanish and then you forget a word, you can either try and describe it in Spanish, or you can just sort of use an English substitute for it, and then maybe try and add an accent, or like eventually you'll learn the rules better and you can actually fill in the blank correctly. But I'll give you an example, right? You can come up with a word that you've never heard of before. So if I asked you to say, maybe come up with a word for Catholic in Spanish, you might say católico, which as far as I know would be correct. Same with monastery, monasterio. It's much easier to come up with most of these words. So you can kind of fill in the blanks for what you know and what you don't know as time goes on, but at least you've got something to work off of. And then you can also cycle through things in your language, right? So for example, to finish in English, we have like to terminate, to finish, and to end. If you rotate through them, you might find that in German, enden or beenden is to end, it's a finish. But then when we're talking in Spanish, finir is a verb, but terminar is more commonly used. And ender is not really a thing. So, but you can rotate through the ones from your parent language to create what you need for your target language. But yeah, and additionally, you just sort of can create words as you go for things that you think exist and then be wrong, right? Like birds in Spanish is not birdos, it's pájaros. But jeans can just be jeans. And, you know, that kind of goes into Spanglish and other things as well. But if you are at least trying to learn the rules of the language, the rules of translating the language, then that means you don't have to learn a new word every time you want to say something. You just need to learn the rule, and then every time you want to say something, you push a word from your native language through the rule to get the new word in the new language. And then as time goes on, and you actually use those words in conversation, you'll realize when you say, quiero ender este, and people are like, what? And then you say, quiero terminar este, and people are like, oh yeah, I got it. You note from their reactions, oh, this is a word, this isn't a word. You listen to what they say as well. You can also ask them, hey, how can I say this? ¿Cómo se dice finish en español? And people may be willing to help you. But the point is, you've got a lot more tools than you think at your disposal when it comes to learning a language. You know more words than you actually know because you know the tools to make new words. So go out there and make mistakes and follow for more language tips.